Alright guys, it's manga reading log time, and some manga tubers say that manga reading logs are their worst performing videos on their channel, but they clearly do not make Blu-ray content on their channels. Which, by the way, you guys should definitely check them out. I have a bunch of Blu-ray unboxings and I have a bunch more coming soon, so stay tuned for that. Let's get into the reading log. Alright guys, so over the last month, I was able to read 20 volumes of manga, which is honestly not bad. I keep impressing myself with how much manga I've been reading recently.
Hey, look at us. Look at us. Huh? Who would have thought? Not me.
But yeah, 20 volumes of manga, and I did say during my manga haul that I will be doing a reading sprint. In that video, I said I would do 4 hours, but I didn't manage my time wisely this weekend, and I don't have 4 hours to spare for reading manga. So instead, we're gonna read manga for 1 hour. After I talk about these series, at the end, we're gonna do a manga reading sprint and see how much manga I can read from my to-be-read shelf in 1 hour. So we'll do that at the end. Let's go ahead and get into these manga right here, which we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different series that I've read. We're gonna go ahead and start off with the one that I think I read earlier in the month, which was this one right here in the middle, and that is Claymore. So I finished Claymore. I finally completed it. It was quite a ride. I read volumes 22 to 27. And man, these last couple of volumes were just non-stop action. It was really entertaining to read through. I might get into a little bit of spoiler territory, but what happened in these last couple of volumes is after volume 21, I believe, the organization that was overlooking the Claymore is pretty much dead at this point, but their last move was to basically revive some of the older #1 Claymores from previous generations, and they all unlocked their awakened forms. So the revived Claymores were all going up against the other Claymores, but you got to remember that these were all previous #1s, so they were all super strong, super powerful, and in their awakened forms you just get these really awesome designs. So like here is volume 22. This is the designs of one of the awakened forms of the previous #1s. Yeah, really strange cover right there, but that's kind of what you can expect with the designs of these awakened forms. I thought the designs were very interesting, very creative, and a lot better than the designs of just your normal humans, which kind of just, even towards the end of the volume, you can kind of tell who's who, but it still just looks like it's a face with a different hairstyle and something like that with most of the Claymores. There are a few that they have distinct features and you can tell who they are. One of my personal favorites was Miria. She was the leader of the Claymores throughout the series. Really enjoyed her, and of course Claire. So yeah, these last couple of volumes is basically just the Claymore fighting against those awakened beings, and then the final volume, I love the way that it wrapped up. We had Claire versus Priscilla, and I don't want to spoil the very last part of like how Claire ended up defeating Priscilla, but I will say it was a little strange. I don't know exactly how it worked, but I enjoyed it. I liked it. It worked for me, and I bought it and went with it, and I thought it was pretty enjoyable. So yeah, overall, good series. Wouldn't say it's awesome. Like, I wouldn't give it a high score. It's just an entertaining read is what I would say. Somewhere maybe along a 7 out of 10 overall for the series, and a series that I'm still really glad to have in the collection. So yeah, I'm finally done with it. I will have it in the collection, and right now I'm actually going through the anime. I've watched through the first 5 episodes, and the anime is pretty much, at least so far, it's a very close adaptation to the manga. I do hear towards the end it kind of goes into its own ending, so I'm curious to check that out and see how it compares to the ending here. But I will say, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because it's an older anime, but the art style, I wasn't enjoying it, the music and everything overall. I much prefer the manga. I'm starting to become one of those that just prefers the manga over the anime. So yeah, overall, manga much better than the anime so far. So if you guys haven't picked it up, give it a shot. It's a fun read. So those are the first couple of volumes that I read in the month. Next up, I kind of read this throughout the month, so let's talk about these because I read these in between reading these volumes. And the first one we'll talk about here, I think this is actually one of the first things that I read in the month, is Who Wants to Be a Billionaire Volume 3. I feel like I've been reading a volume of these every month now. And yeah, I mean, still, it's a very smutty series, definitely a nasty man manga, and in this volume we had kind of one conflict between two of the girls resolved. This girl right here was basically the villain over the course of the first last two volumes, I guess, volume 2 and volume 3. It was resolved in this volume, but she was also eliminated due to her being beaten almost to death, and we're still not sure who did that. So I guess that's kind of like the next mystery. We're trying to figure out who and why they decided to take her out of the competition, which, by the way, for those of you who don't know, this is a sort of like a underground reality show. We got a bunch of girls trying to win the heart of a billionaire, and most of that is through, at least in this volume, the next test after she was eliminated was for all of the girls to display their abilities in bed, but not with the guy. Instead, she chose one of the girls to play him, and that girl ended up being the main character of the series. So she is actually a virgin, so she doesn't really know what she's doing, but she has to give the details to the billionaire as to how each girl performed in bed. So yeah, you get a lot of fan service stuff in this volume. If any of that sounds interesting to you guys, maybe consider checking it out. Overall, I will say the hype from volume 1 did die down for me. I don't think it's as great as I thought it was going to be, but still a really enjoyable series. So give it a shot if any of what I said sounded interesting to you guys. So that was Who Wants to Marry a Billionaire volume 3. I'm gonna put that right here. Next up, I read The New Hotness from Shuzo Oshimi. He has a lot of stuff coming out right now. He got Devil Ecstasy, Welcome Back Alice, and I feel like there's another one, but I can't. Well, there's also, of course, there's Blood on the Tracks that's still ongoing. We also got Side Mari that's still ongoing. Just a bunch of stuff. It's a good time to be a Shuzo Oshimi fanboy, which I am. I generally don't like to read his series until it's complete because they're so easy to get through, so fun to read. But regardless, I decided to read volume 1. And I was reminded why I like to wait until the series is complete, because I completed volume 1 and I wanted to go on to volume 2, but it's not out yet and I still don't have volume 2. But this one, I will go ahead and continue to read this one as it's ongoing. It's a thick boy, but I was able to get through it in like 2-3 days maybe, reading about 20-30 minutes per night. Yeah, it was definitely something. So what we have here in Devil Ecstasy, we have our main character, Nobaru, I believe was his name. Yeah, it says right here in the back. From a young age, he was traumatized by big
melons! Big, juicy melons!
Yes, that's right. He was traumatized by big...
Hey, and then you're late! How we doing? We're back! Yeah!
One of his babysitters almost suffocated him to death. And since then, he's been intimidated by...
boobs!
And he just overall in general by women, he's intimidated by them. And then one day they go on a date, him and one of his friends that he works at in a DVD shop, I believe. They go out on a date. It went horribly wrong. They didn't talk to the girls at all. They're both intimidated by girls. They couldn't start a conversation. And so they end up getting dumped on the spot. And after that, they're like, dude, we need to man up. We need to go out. We need to get some experience with women. Let's go to a strip club or something. I don't know where they were planning to go to. But as they were talking, they look up and they see a shop it's a brothel. And there's like, it's clearly like a place that you don't want to enter. Like there's a almost half naked girl on the front of the building. And I believe, if I remember correctly, it doesn't look human. It looks almost like a demon, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so the girl on the front of the building has horns and stuff. So it's obviously like not a place you want to go into. But these guys were desperate, I guess, and they went in there. And yeah, it turns out everybody in that brothel, every woman in there is a succubus. So they end up choosing a girl. They have a picture of all of the girls on the wall. He ends up choosing the girl with like the biggest boobs, of course, but our main character, he takes his time because he notices that everybody on the wall has big
boobs.
So he keeps looking through the wall, and he finally goes to a picture on the wall with a woman whose boobs aren't huge. So he chooses her, And when he goes to go into the room, she's surprised. She's never had a client. She starts to reveal herself to him. He actually finds her body to be beautiful, which was something that she always felt insecure about, it seemed like. So instead of doing what the succubus generally do at this brothel, which is suck the life out of every male that goes in there, she warns him. She says, please leave and never come back. So that's what she tells him. And our main character, Noboru, listens to her. He leaves. He thinks that she was kicking him out and saying like, he thought he did something wrong. But later he finds out that his friend, he came out super happy. He came out with a huge smile on his face. But you notice that there's something off about him. And the next day, he finds out that his friend, I believe it was his best friend, ended up passing away overnight. But he did pass away with a huge smile on his face. So yeah, that's when he finds out that there's something off about this brothel. They do some investigation. He finds out that yes, they are in fact succubus. And yeah, and then the story just continues from there. I just basically went over like the first chapter or 2 chapters. But yeah, as you guys can see, it's a very strange series, just what you can come to expect from Shuzo Oshimi. I personally did enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to continuing this series. So I can't wait for volume 2 and see what other crazy stuff happens, because yeah, this volume was pretty crazy. But I don't know how long they can continue this series, because we went through a lot in this one omnibus. So I'm curious to know how long this series is. I haven't checked that out. I might check that out after this video, see how long it goes for. But so far, I'm enjoying it. Devil Ecstasy, Volume 1 by Shuzo Oshimi. And then one that I read more recently is Vampeerz. Vampeerz, Volume 1. This is one that I picked up recently, and I mentioned that I was going to do first impressions on this one. But after reading it, I don't know. I don't know if it warrants its own video. It was fine. It's another Yuri series. I was hoping that I would enjoy this one more since it is a vampire series, and I did. I did like the vampire aspects of this. The vampire is this blonde girl here on the right hand side, and here is our main character who was told by her grandma that when it comes to love, wait for somebody that steals your heart. And her family, they've always been asking, when is she going to get a boyfriend? She's never been in a relationship. I think at this point she's around 16, if I remember correctly. Oh, and her name is Ichika. Easy to remember, one of the quintuplets. But yeah, she's never had a boyfriend. And when she runs into this vampire one day when they were having I believe it was her grandmother's funeral, the vampire did attend, and apparently she is an old friend of the grandmother. But when Ichika sees her, she instantly falls in love. It was like love at first sight. She thought that she was beautiful. What was strange was that they really never made a big deal about like her liking another female. It was just like, oh yeah, I like her. There's no inner struggle about like, oh, why do I like a woman? That's weird. I don't know. I'm not like homophobic or anything, but I just feel like that's something that you would think internally at least. But it's not really brought up. But she does fall in love with the vampire, and then like within like the first couple of pages, she ends up finding out that she is in fact a vampire. But while Ichika instantly fell in love for her, the vampire, which I forgot her name, but she's actually looking for an item that can kill her because she wants to be put to rest. So they actually do end up finding that item within this first volume, but Ichika does not want to do it. So she requests Ichika to do the deed and in putting her to rest, but she doesn't want to do it because she loves her. She's obviously not happy, but she ends up moving into the house with Ichika, and I don't know where they're going. I don't know if she's gonna try to convince Ichika to kill her, or if the vampire is just gonna comply with Ichika for a bit and show her after a while why it's just not gonna work out, because she's never gonna age. She's gonna keep on aging. So I feel like that's maybe where the story's gonna go. Yeah, overall, just fine. It is probably the better of the Yuri series that I've read, and I am interested in continuing it just because those vampire aspects of the story are interesting to me. I like vampires, so I'm going to continue to pick this one up, and we'll see where this goes after Volume 1. So yeah, good overall. I'd give the Volume 1 a solid 7 out of 10. All right, now finally, the last series that I read here, which I actually like took up a chunk of what I read in the last month of July. I had a lot of fun reading through this series. I know a lot of people have issues with it. They say it's mid. They much prefer the anime over it. And I will say, for me, as I was reading this story, I was just thinking, God damn, the anime is going to be amazing for this series. And that series is Demon Slayer. So I finished the whole series in the month of July. I continued on from volume 12. I read volume 13 through 23. And let's go ahead and just talk about the individual arcs for this series. So the first arc here, I believe it comprises of volumes, I think it ends in volume 14. All right, no, it actually goes into like the first couple of chapters of volume 15. So volumes 13, 14, and 15, also volume 12 is actually where it starts, but I talked about that last month. But these are the volumes that contain the Swordsmith Village arc. And this arc, I'm not gonna lie, it was a little bit disappointing, because the reason that I'm disappointed by it is because I've seen all of these Mitsuri statues, and I've seen a few of them with these dragon heads around her, and I thought that was one of her abilities, but apparently it's one of the demon abilities that's attacking her. And so here's volume 14. We got beautiful Mitsuri here on the front cover. So yeah, we get to see her in action throughout this arc, but her abilities, she's just super strong, and she does have this sword that bends. But other than that, she doesn't have a really cool, flashy attack that she uses, which I don't know why that kind of disappointed me. Which, by the way, talking about the demons, the demon design for this arc was very strange to me. Like, there's this one demon that uses like bowls and fishes and stuff like that, and I just found it like a very strange demon design. It almost felt like it didn't fit with the world, if that makes sense. But yeah, that demon just like was completely off. And then the other demon was a demon that kind of keeps multiplying. Like, the more that you cut him, the more he just keeps separating into different demons, and they're having a hard time defeating these demons. And then eventually they all combine and they form like the ultimate demon form, his ultimate demon form, which was this demon that uses that wood dragon ability. But in order to defeat him, they actually have to defeat a really miniature demon, which again just felt very strange. But aside from that, I mean, it was all right. We did get some backstory between Genya and his brother. We also got some backstory between the Mist Hashira and his brother. He had a twin brother apparently. So we got some backstory there, and then I don't think we got a backstory for the demons on this one, did we? I don't think so. I don't think these demons were all that important. We didn't get any backstories for them, which was fine. We do get a lot of that later, but we'll talk about that here in a bit. I think the most important part of this arc, though, is what happens at the end with Nezuko, which, by the way, this is a bit of a spoiler alert, so just keep that in mind. That Nezuko is able to walk in the sun by the end of this arc, which apparently was the whole reason Muzan has been creating demons in the first place. He was hoping that one day he would create a demon that could withstand the sunlight so that he could devour that demon and gain that ability for himself. So yeah, that was the climax of this arc, and let's go ahead and get into the next arc, which was, it's a training arc. So we get to train again. This time we have, where is it, volume 16, 17, and 15 there. So I think it's just volume 15 and 16. So it's just about a volume and a half of this training arc. It actually ends about right through the middle of this volume. So they don't train for too long, but they're training because after Muzan found out about Nezuko, there's kind of a calm before the storm. Muzan calls in all of his demons, and we have the Demon Slayer Corps training all of the Demon Slayers that they can get. They have them train with all of the Hashiras, and so we get to see Tanjiro, mainly Tanjiro. We don't really follow Inosuke and Zenitsu too much until we get to the last Hashira, which was the Stone Hashira, and oh my god, the Stone Hashira, he's a beast. I didn't think much of him before reading these last couple of volumes, but after reading everything, he is definitely a beast. He's the last Hashira that all of the Demon Slayers get to train with after they go through all of their other trainings. Some Demon Slayers don't even get to him because the training with some of the other Hashiras is just too much for them. But yeah, eventually we get to see the whole gang back together. But yeah, mainly we definitely see Tanjiro grow a lot through this training arc. Like he gets through the training arc. He has difficulties with some, but eventually he just pushes through these trainings to the point where he's pretty much stronger than some of these Hashiras that they currently have in the Demon Slayer Corps. So yeah, that's the training arc. After that, we have a crazy event that happens in the middle of volume 16, which did shock me a little bit. And again, I just felt like it happened so quickly. Like the story just flows so fast after the Swordsmith Village arc. And we get into what is, I think it's the final like big arc of the series. And I believe it's called the Infinity Castle. Does it even have a name? I don't know. They don't really call it anything in the volume, but I know I've heard people call it the Infinity Castle arc. So that's when shit hits the fan. We got all of the Demon Slayers fighting against all of the demons, and man, do we get some great action moments in there. That's basically the rest of this series right here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost 6 volumes worth of this Infinity Castle arc, where we just have battle after battle. So we get to see the battle with Akaza. I don't want to talk too many spoilers, but we see the conclusion for Akaza. Great battle. We also see Duma. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Which for some reason, that was my personal favorite battle, like between some of the demons. I don't know why. I just really liked his character design. I liked the demon's personality. And I will say what happens with that battle in particular was the most shocking. So yeah, I'm not gonna say who fights who or anything like that, but I want you guys to experience that for yourself, and I can't wait for the anime. But yeah, that one was the most shocking for me, and I think in my opinion, was my personal favorite. And then we get to the number 1 demon. I forget his name already, but it's basically this. Well, I don't know if it's that guy actually. So he's actually not on the cover for any of these volumes, but we get the battle between the number 1 demon, and we get a lot of revelations as far as like how all of these breathing techniques came to be. Also get some backstory into Tanjiro, and then we get into the final battle with Muzan, which I mean, he's in the cover of this volume. This is his final form. And I don't know, I just didn't enjoy this battle as much as those 3 demon battles that I talked about with Akaza, Duma, and the Upper Moon 1 demon from Muzan's army. I found those battles to be much more enjoyable than the final battle with Muzan. And I don't know, I think it might just be because in the case of Akaza and Duma, we kind of have had battles with them, or we've had interactions with them in the past. And then with the Upper Moon 1, I just found him to be much more interesting than Muzan. Plus, in the end, all he was pretty much doing was just moving his limbs all over the place and attacking and being super OP. So yeah, I don't know. It wasn't my favorite battle, but I still can't wait to see it animated. I still think it's going to be awesome once we get the animation for this. So yeah, that's all I'll say. I didn't want to be too spoilery here, but in the last volume, volume 23, they did do a time skip, and they jumped way into the future, and we got to see all of the descendants of all of like the main characters of the series, which I don't know, it was all right, but I kind of wish they would have kept it in the time period that the rest of the series left off in. I don't know, that's just me. That's it for Demon Slayer. Overall, I had a lot of fun with it, and like I said, I really can't wait for that anime. Like, though that Infinity Castle arc is gonna be crazy. It's going to be crazy. And yeah, so that's pretty much it that's everything that I've read in the month of July. Now let's go ahead and go into the reading sprint. It is pretty late tonight, so I'm actually gonna do it another night. I just wanted to film this portion of the video today, so I will catch you guys tomorrow.